Hello, and thank you for joining me in part 5 of Religious Beliefs. Inherited beliefs subconsciously affect our lives and outlook on life in such a profound way. This will be an insightful episode. I'm sure by the end of this episode you will destroy more wrongly held beliefs and will end up with a fresh perspective. Who is Eve? Was she created from Adam, and did she seduce Adam? What test are we in on earth? What does it mean to be God's successors or representatives on earth? And what are our roles in life? My name is Khaled Quader, and this is Point of View. In Abrahamic faiths, Eve is known as the first woman and as Adam's wife. According to the second chapter of Genesis, Eve was created by God from the rib of Adam to be Adam's companion, and somewhat the same belief exists in other faiths. Yet, there is absolutely no mention of Eve anywhere in the Quran, and for a well-known biblical character, Eve is mentioned remarkably infrequently in the New Testament, and all the references of that time are mainly on Adam. Surah Al-Baqarah states, "To Adam we said, dwell with your wife in heaven." According to religious scholar Dr. Muhammad Shahrour, we misinterpret the text when referring to Adam and his wife. The precise word used in the verse is pair. What we understand to refer to Eve actually refers to something else. The reference is to another group that lived and interacted with and learned from the more superior Adam group. And it's the disputes and quarrels between Adam and this group in heaven which led to their expulsion from it, as I mentioned in the previous episode. Perhaps the reference is to the Neanderthals and the Denisovans, which became extinct according to Darwin's law of natural selection or survival of the fittest. Science shows evidence for interbreeding between both groups and modern humans about 44,000 to 65,000 years ago. And according to Wikipedia, Neanderthal-derived DNA has been found in the genomes of most or possibly all contemporary populations. Among the many inherited beliefs is that Eve seduced Adam. As the story goes, the devil connived Eve, and that resulted in her and Adam's banishment from the Garden of Eden and doomed to mortality. And since Eve was the cause, she is made to suffer in life. Well, this belief is totally false and fabricated. Adam, meaning all the males and females, committed the same mistakes and sins and were banished from heaven. Those who claim that we are on earth because of Adam's fault are the same who claim that Eve was the cause for our banishment from heaven. Both claims contradict God's words. No one is held accountable for the guilt of others, and no one is held responsible for any sins another commits. The Quran says, "It is He, God, who has created you all out of one living entity, and out of it brought into being its mate, so that man might incline with love towards woman." Before the creation of the physical body, God created the self or the soul and its female part from one living entity or from the same soul. Nowhere does it indicate that the female was created from the male or from his ribs. Many people believe they are in a test in this physical life, but they do not know what is this test and what they need to do to pass it. We are simply in a divinity test. Putting it differently, we are little gods on earth with the total freedom to take our own decisions and to choose our own paths. In Arabic, the word Rabb is a name we associate with God, and we often use it to mean God. The word Rabb means the one who is responsible for creation and the one who is in charge of providing, guarding, and managing the affairs of others and fulfilling their needs. Rabb can also refer to any person with responsibility over something. For example, the father in some societies is the head of the family or is a Rabb. He is the administrator, master, and educator, and the one who guards and provides for his family. God has infinite names, not just 99 as many Muslims commonly believe. And each name represents a value. During the creation of the self or the soul, God blew into us from His Spirit or the energy of God's infinite names. For example, one of God's names is Al-Karim, the generous or the beneficent, and it is one of God's infinite qualities and attributes. And generosity is an attribute we all possess, albeit in varying degrees. We are therefore required to be generous, and that is part of our test in life. God is also the forgiving and the creator and the one who obliges us, etc. And we are requested to be forgiving and to be creators and to oblige and gratify one another. It is important that we adopt God's names or these values in our lives. And that's the deep meaning of God's request from us in the Quran. Be divine or godly. When the Dalai Lama was asked which faith he thought was the best, he replied, "It is what makes a human being a better person and brings him closer to the image of God on earth." Every successful person, that is, every person with wealth and fame, is someone who activates and implements certain attributes of God's names. And in turn, this person provides value to society with these attributes. When the head of a country or an organization steps down or is on leave, he or she appoints a successor or a representative in his or her place. In order to fulfill this role, this representative or successor must have two things. One, the authority or the power to fulfill this role. Two, the tools to use in this capacity as a representative and successor. So, as God's representatives or successors on earth, what powers do we have to fulfill this role? And what tools do we have at our disposal? The Quran states, "And He has made subservient to you whatsoever is in the heavens and whatsoever is in the earth." God empowered us by harnessing everything in the heavens, sun, moon, stars, etc., and everything in the earth, animals, trees, oceans, minerals, and other riches for us to exploit and to utilize for our benefit. And the tools God gave us to be His representatives are His infinite names and their attributes, which God deposited in all of us, or God's Spirit. God says, "And He taught Adam the names of all things," all of them. These names or attributes were instilled in us when we were created so that we develop and use them in our lives to harness everything God created. We all have specific roles in life, which are defined according to each person's talents and passions. These talents and passions are the tools we have, and they represent our roles in life. They are God's Spirit, or the energy of God's names and attributes, which God deposited within each one of us in varying degrees. Every person who activates a specific name or attribute or a passion is one who activates his or her succession on earth and role in life. For example, one of God's infinite names is Ar-Rahim. The word is derived from Al-Rahm, or uterus, and refers to the close connection a baby has with his mother in the womb. Ar-Rahim is someone who is connected with others and who connects people with one another and is one who keeps his kinship ties. It doesn't mean be merciful as many think. Therefore, the person who activates and implements God's name, Ar-Rahim, is one who made it possible for people to be connected and to interact with one another. For example, through Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg connects people, whether knowingly or not. He activated and implemented this name or attribute, Ar-Rahim, and provided a substantial value to people. And therefore, God rewarded him with wealth and fame. And in providing this value to society, he harnessed technology, the atmosphere, science, satellites, different materials, and everything else available to make this possible. In the same way that each one of us has a unique finger, face, eye, and DNA print, every one of us has one or more of the attributes of God's names, which are more prominent than the other attributes and which represent the unique talents of this person. When we discover our talents, develop them, and use them to provide value to people and to ourselves, we activate our succession on earth. And this represents our individual role, or one of our roles in life. And with the value we provide to humanity, we will get the rewards. This is the universal law of cause and effect. When we discover, develop, and utilize our talents, they can become passions. A passion is a talent that distinguishes us from others. We get a higher level of pleasure when we utilize it. It unleashes our creativity. It provides a significant value to society, and it leads to an abundance in our lives. Therefore, it is you who chooses any of God's names or attributes that provide you pleasure and satisfaction, and use them to provide value to humanity. The bigger the benefits, the higher the rewards, in the form of abundant financial rewards, fame, pleasure, and knowledge. And this represents your passion, your role in life, and the scope and depth of your succession on earth. Meaning, when you work with what you're passionate about, you feel a tremendous charge of energy and you feel motivated, entertained, and satisfied. Even if this thing you do has little or no apparent financial rewards, like doing charity work, for example. Christianity teaches us that every human being born on this earth is made in the image of God. Within man is both the powerful surge toward the good, because we are made in the image of God, and the darker impulses toward evil because of the effects of the original sin. That concludes today's episode. Next week, I will address the last of the key questions: Satan's role on earth and true worship. Please send me your questions and comments in the comment section below. This was Point of View. Thank you for watching. Till next week, stay well.